the maturity from Mike McDaniel and his camp here. And I'm going to tell you why. I think that this man is a brilliant play designer. I don't think he is a brilliant play caller. And I think that the sequencing of plays, the way in which he operates a football team, that level of nasty and toughness that at times is needed, even if you are a player's coach, clearly was not there. And Small's court, I think what he did was say, you know what? Maybe there are going to be better jobs next year, but for this year, I want to learn. And that, Jim Harbaugh, that's the guy I want to learn from.
Also, this is another check in the Justin Herbert is worth it column. Jim Harbaugh wanted to be his head coach. When he left Michigan, Greeny told us, I was talking to Harbaugh at a funeral, he loves Justin Herbert.
Don't go too fast on that. Please restate that again. It can never be restated enough where this conversation happened. Please go ahead.
So Mike Greenberg, Greeny, joined us, and this was after Harbaugh won a national championship at Michigan, and his future in football was up in the air. We didn't know what he was going to do next, and there was a lot of things connecting him to the Chargers job, and Greeny came on Unsportsmanlike and told us very casually, yes, I ran into Jim Harbaugh at a funeral, and we were chatting, and he was gushing over how much he loves Justin Herbert. So I would not be surprised if that's where he ultimately lands, because at this funeral, the conversation that I had with him, it was very apparent that he was obsessed with Justin Herbert. Sure enough, he goes there, and once again, they fall short in the playoffs. And we're talking about Justin Herbert not having an excuse at head coach anymore. Why hasn't he taken that next step? Well, now you have one of the most innovative and brilliant offensive minds in the NFL, and Mike McDaniel saying, hey, I'm not only going to go there and learn from Jim Harbaugh, but I think that there's a quarterback that has so much talent that I can do something special with him, and maybe we can get to a certain level, and then I can explore being a head coach again. But to me, this is not only validation for Justin Herbert, but it's also now more pressure, because not only do you have a head coach, but you know you're going to have an offensive coordinator that's going to be able to put you in advantageous situations. So you better be able to take that next step this year.
I think that as far as like why he withdrew his name from Cleveland, because remember he interviewed there on the 12th, or interviewed with them on the 12th, hadn't had that in-person interview yet, and might have still been in consideration for the Ravens job, for the Raiders job, like two jobs that he had been linked to. I don't know that Mike McDaniel is the best in front of the whole room, but I do think he is the best candidate to be in front of the offense as a whole. Because remember, those first two seasons that he had in Miami, he had two of the most explosive offenses in back-to-back years, with Tua leading the league in passing. And obviously things deteriorated once health deteriorated for Tua, for the offensive line, for the offense in general, and during the end of his time in Miami. But I like this because, like both of you are pointing out, when you have a quarterback who has a limitless skill set like Justin Herbert, the options are endless for what this offense can become. Tua had, certain things, a ceiling, if you want to call it that, on certain parts of his game, and you don't have that with Justin Herbert. You have somebody who's going to be able to cut the strings from, the ties that Greg Roman had on him. And I think that we did see a lot of improvement from him the last 2 years, but it still felt like there were things that were holding him back beyond the offensive line injuries, which he was able to overcome until he wasn't in that playoff game. But having somebody who's innovative, having somebody who doesn't feel like they have to be in charge of more than they can probably handle, and can simply focus on build the most explosive offense that you can in a division that is winnable now, because the Chiefs and the uncertainty about when Mahomes is coming back. Obviously, you have the Denver Broncos in your division too. You have the pieces now to actually go out and win this thing, the AFC West, next year, because you've got the right direction that you're going in with your offense.
Yeah, and you said something that really stands out to me, Court, and that is maybe he's not good in front of the whole room and just some of the room. Well, guess what? If we were to do a top 5 power rankings of the coaches that we assume amongst the 53 are best in front of everyone, Jim Harbaugh's on that list, right? You would just assume that he is really good in front of everyone. So again, Mike McDaniel being mature enough to realize I need more coaching. Like, I could do this again. I could try every which way to get to Cleveland, and I could get fired in a year, because someone this hiring cycle is guaranteed almost to get fired next year. It happens every year where we have a one-and-done coach. You sign up for one of the jobs that he maybe has interviewed for, whether it's Arizona or Cleveland, let's say, You could get fired 1 year from now. In this scenario, you are going to become a better head coach by not being a head coach. And I'm blown away impressed with that by Mike McDaniel, having that sense and that smarts and the maturity to get better. Now,
he does seem like someone that has a tremendous amount of self-awareness.
Yeah, I think he's been through a lot in his life, and I think he understands. He's reflective of like,
and he seems like he knows what's best for him in this moment.
And
I give him credit for removing ego from the equation.
100%.
Because a lot of people would say, "Oh, Miami fired me. I'm a good head coach. I'm going to take one of these other jobs and I'll show them." But he's surveying the landscape and saying, to your point, actually, that might not be a place for me to succeed. And actually, if I really do want to be great at this, maybe I need to take a step back before I take another step forward.
And if he's saying to himself, I want to guarantee myself to be a head coach in 27, 28, you're better off not being a head coach now than being a head coach now. I think you have a better chance 2 years from now of being a head coach in the NFL by not being one now, which leads us right into, go ahead.
One more thing.
Yeah.
He also is acutely aware of what happens to a head coach that does not have a franchise quarterback.
That's right.
And a lot
of places he'd be going to.
Exactly. A lot of these situations that were on the board for him, he's like, this is just going to be deja vu of what I experienced in Miami.
Right. And he probably was not going to get the Ravens job. He doesn't present Ravens. And I'm not saying that as an insult. I think the Ravens have a type, and Mike McDaniel doesn't feel like that type. Other teams have a type, which Mike McDaniel feels like that type, to his credit. Now, let's get to the part that Nuno, our producer, Nuno Miguel Barrera Teixeira, really loves getting to. And that is, who could get fired a year from now as to what he sees? Like, what is... See, we took...
The future firing.
Right. The three of us took the healthy approach of, this is professional and personal development. Kudos to him for seeing that path. Nuno sees the schemy path of, he's waiting now because maybe he sees that this job could open and we could do a conversation about a preemptive firing strike 1 year from now. Nuno, over to you.
Yeah, so on January 13th, I went back and pulled my own receipts. I floated out the, depending on the job, is it just better to sometimes to wait till next year? Let's be honest. Cleveland, love you guys, but is that a great job? The Cardinals, is that a good job? Whereas I look to next year and say, maybe the Commanders' job comes open, right? We don't know what happens with the Bucks' job.
See, look what he's doing.
There's the potential.
Courtney's laughing at you. Go ahead, Courtney. Laugh at him. Go ahead.
I mean, he's preemptively. He's like
next year.
Yeah, he's thinking, Todd Bowles was barely keeping his job this year. He's definitely gone next year. I mean, you're not wrong, Nuno, because I think there will be better options for him, even though there's so many this year. Like you pointed out, Evan, doesn't feel like he'd be a fit in Buffalo. Doesn't feel like he'd be the right type for a Ravens job and the type of coach, or, the Steelers as well. Those places are going after... Probably, I don't even call it not the norm, but he's the innovator. He's doing it in a way that most people aren't in the NFL. They want the legacy hire. That's how it feels to me. But all the other openings, would it not just be a retread of what went down in Miami, if not worse? He goes to Arizona. They don't have a quarterback. How's that going to look for him the first 2 years before the bid walls are like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore? Same thing with the Raiders. Clearly, Mark Davis has no issue getting rid of coaches really quickly after he hires them. There weren't that many other openings. And I mean, he does have history in Cleveland. He had coached there as an assistant once upon a time, but doesn't feel like that's an option where he's going to have the type of success where you get to hold on to your job. So I think of looking at the landscape, but also looking at what the landscape presents for the future. Yes, you're right. He probably is thinking down the road of what can I do to be a head coach in 2027 or 2028, or maybe he just has the foresight to say that he isn't a head coach anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm taking it a step too far there.
That seems extreme, right? You think he's made this self-declaration, this kind of position's not for me?
No, I don't. But I do think that has to be a thought, because I really do stand by maybe he's better for one part, one room, instead of the whole team.
It's a fascinating way of analyzing it, and there's probably a million business women and men out there that are thinking about that statement as you made it, of I used to work directly for this person, then they got promoted up, and the Peter principle, it's one step too high that you get promoted up through. And maybe that is a Mike McDaniel thing, but I just think he has a better shot of being a head coach long term by not being a head coach. And yes, maybe Nuno's right. Maybe there's a job out there he's eyeing. I'm telling you now, it's not Washington, because Dan Quinn's his guy, so he probably is not even allowing him to think himself to think that way. But maybe there's a job out there that he looks at and says, I could get that job in 2 years and have it for 5 versus this job now and have it for 1. What are you laughing at?
I'm just surprised Nuno didn't bring up the Eagles to annoy Pat and Cam.
No, I'm not
He's
there
building
yet.
to that.
But
Don't worry.
but no, I'm not there.